I manage my budget by the minute. I can take you in my office. I can show you a budget, and it'll have what that's going to cost me a year, what it's going to cost me a month, what it's going to cost me a day, what it's going to cost me an hour, and what it's going to cost me a minute. And that may be overkill, but I like that. I like to look at it from the standpoint of this is what I'm losing.
Right.
Every minute of every day, I lose this much money because that is not out there making me money, or this isn't working like it needs to work.
How do you do the math so fast without it being a detriment to your time?
Come on, let's go.
Okay.
I'll pull up a labor burden sheet and
Yeah.
show you what we got. So this is something I was looking at this morning. So I break down all my properties like this right here. I got a spreadsheet. I want to know which one of my companies owns that particular property, the address of it, how much that property is actually worth, parcel ID, how much it brings in monthly rents, what do I have on a loan on it, what's my loan balance, what percentage of my loan balance is compared to what the property is actually worth. And I make my judgment calls on that right there, and I bring it down and I run everything according to that right there. So that's just one spreadsheet. This is another spreadsheet here that where I'm running monthly figures, daily figures, hourly figures, and minute figures on just the finances of my company. I want to know what I'm going to spend on office supplies, what I'm going to spend on everything. So this is a labor burden sheet. Now, if you look at it, the last time it was updated was 2014, 2015. So I took an old one, I took their names off of it so we don't have it. But I track everything. I want to know how long they worked for me. I want to know what that hourly pay is, what's their overtime, how much am I paying on Medicare per hour, how much am I paying on Social Security per hour, workers' comp, federal unemployment, state unemployment, health and welfare. I want to know how many hours. This guy's got 40 hours of vacation. This one right here didn't have any vacation. So how much does that cost me? How much does, over a 40-hour work week, how much does their holiday pay cost me? They're going to get six holidays a year, 7 holidays a year. How much do I pay? Okay, so that's 44 cents or 46 cents for every hour that this guy works of his pay that I got to match to go to holiday pay. This guy right here has got vacation. He only has 1 week of vacation. That cost me 37 cents an hour of his thing. So his total expenses come across to me on the first guy here at $25.48. So the purpose of this spreadsheet was I was arguing with one of my people about the fact I like to work overtime. I like my employees to work overtime. I used to like my employees to work overtime. Now nobody wants to work overtime, so it might be outdated. But anyway, so at $25 an hour, I could work that guy, but if I brought him in on overtime pay, so his actual cost, if I kept him at 55 hours a week, his actual cost dropped or went up to $27 an hour. Because what I'm matching on certain things, what I'm paying, the workers' comp, federal unemployment, my holiday stuff that I'm paying, the vacation, I'm gonna get it whether they work 40 hours or 50 hours. So I don't throw certain costs back into there for overtime because there's certain things I don't have to pay on overtime that I gotta pay on regular time. So we take all that off. I put expense of what it takes this guy to run a vehicle, running back and forth to his house. If I got 2 guys that are driving to their house and home and I'm paying for their travel time one way, then 2 guys driving an hour to work cost me 2 hours of labor. 1 guy driving an hour to work cost me 1 hour of labor. And if he works a couple hours extra overtime, it equals out in the end. So I'm just managing my total cost. And at this particular point in time, we were struggling getting enough technicians to work. We needed to work more hours. That's a huge issue today because there's not a lot of technicians and not a lot of people in the trades anymore. So it's hard to find guys like that right there. And if they're not willing to work the overtime, then a company can't grow. If they are willing to work the overtime, a lot of companies won't do it because they think their labor burden is so much more. But if you really look at it, the labor burden on all of them is almost the same. Some cases it's a little bit less, some cases it's a little bit more depending on what the person makes. But I never stayed away from overtime. I always push for overtime. So I track all of that like that. I track things down, to the minute of the day,